The first award for this evening is the Oregon Heritage Tourism Award. It recognizes the outstanding incorporation of Oregon's authentic cultural or natural history as a device to draw visitors to the state. And who better to give us a glimpse into the heritage event that brings the past to life once a year for visitors to the Oregon coast than the permanent residents themselves.
Arv, Leonard, wake up! We have company! Oh, wait. This isn't Pioneer Cemetery. Who are you? Where's my family? Oh, well, it's company. I'm Mamie Arlinger. I was born in 1859, and I died in 1940. I'd be 159 years old today. And you know what they say? I'm Lincoln City's deadliest catch. Oh, I have a beautiful home on the Siletz Bay, 2-story finished home, beautiful looking, and they saw me every day out there on my rocking chair. If I wasn't there, they knew where I was. I was out there on that beautiful Siletz Bay in my boat called the Acme. I loved that boat just as much as you love Tom and Jerry today. Oh, boy, the stories I could tell you about that boat. One that I can think of off the top of my mind was an overnight trip from Astoria. I was out there with the boys. We were bringing cargo back. Oh, and the perfect storm hit. Those sneaker waves coming right in. We threw our anchor out, and all it did was drag. Took us back further and further out to sea. Oh, boy, Arv was at the rudders. Albert was in the pilot house, and I was at the helm. We couldn't get back out. All we were doing is floating further and further out, and finally, we were able to get that engine going. So off to Newport we went, and halfway there, the life-saving boat came out. Oh, we thought we were being obliged by taking their lifesavers, because we already knew that we already saved ourselves. And the next day in the Oregonian, oh, you should have seen the write-up. They got all the credit. And we all knew who should have had the credit. It was me telling those boys what to do. Oh, boy, those stories, they live on. And I lived many years after that until the ocean took me. But in the meantime, I'm sitting up in the top of the hill at Pioneer Cemetery amongst my friends and family, looking out amongst the sea, and a view to die for with my family. Oh, it's so nice to have visitors. You need to come visit us. Look at that view. There's nothing like it. And I'd love to tell you another story or two. Come see me soon. You hear?
Roses, roses, 10 cents, roses, roses. Have a rose. You're welcome. Roses, 10 cents, roses. One for you, too. Oh, no. Good evening. My name is Matt Aho. I was born in 1882. That's why it's taking me so long to get up this ramp. I come from Finland, and I came here in around 1905, in my mid-20s. Now, Lots of people came from Finland here to homestead for the free land, and the rivers and the streams and the fishing, and of course the fins, dolphin and shark fins. Yeah, it was a lot funnier back then. Anyway, I live in what you now call Cutlass City, which is just a little bit south of, or it's part of Lincoln City, but back then it was called Gibbs Point. Gibbs family owned some land that jutted out into the bay, and you'd look across the water and say, over there by Gibbs Point. Now, the big joke of the day is if you were with one of the Gibbs family on the other side of the bay, you'd ask them where they lived, and they'd point over there. We'd just all bust up laughing. We'd say, look at Gibbs Point at Gibbs Point. Oh, you're tough. Anyway, when I first moved there, not a lot of people there. There was one Native American woman I remember. She could walk across the bay completely underwater, breathing through a hollow reed. If she needed to get from one side to the other, she wouldn't wait for low tide. She would just start walking and breathe through this reed. It was phenomenal. But anyway, I lived a very simple life. I built my own one-bedroom house out of wood that I found washed up on the shores of Schooner Creek. Lots of shipwrecks right off the coast there, and we had lots of wood and things to pick from. I had a simple bed, an iron bed, a wood stove, a dish cabinet, a Victrola. I grew all my own food, beets, potatoes, tomatoes, whatever was in season I would grow and eat myself. I baked my own bread, and I ate it, and it wasn't bad. And I grew rabbits. That was a major source of meat for me, and fishing, of course. The rabbits, it was kind of a self-propagating thing, so I never really ran out of those. But you know about rabbits, I'm sure. Anyway, the flowers, I didn't really have a great deal of need for money, but I would grow my own flowers, and then I would put it in my wheelbarrow and walk through town, and I would holler out, roses, 10 cents, roses. Of course, I didn't always have roses. Sometimes I had lilies, but I still yelled roses just the same, and they still bought them just the same, so it worked out for everybody. Now, I will say the little children like to follow me up the road, and again, not needing much money, I would always kind of throw them a nickel or something, and they loved that. They would laugh and follow me, and after a while, I started realizing it was kind of like a protection payments, because it kept them nice, and because they like to play tricks. And for example, when I left here, I was full of freshly cut fresh flowers, but somehow they replaced them with these oddly synthetic polymers, and I don't know what that is. I don't even know what that means, but that's not what I left the house with. So the other thing, I didn't have any electricity or running water. I didn't need it. For every day of my life, I carried water from Schooner Creek in a bucket back to my house until I died in 1971 at the ripe age of 88. So I think it did a pretty good job for me. Anyway, I appreciate you here listening to this, and if you ever get a chance, please come out and visit. It's a beautiful place. And that's all I have to say. Well, thank you. And I do have some nickels here. If anybody needs a nickel, I guess it doesn't quite get you a phone call. Sir, I'm sorry, you look like you could use a nickel.
I could use a nickel.
There you go, sir.
Thank you, Mike.
Have two. Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't know there were that many dead people here in the conference center tonight. As you noticed, I kind of came up in the middle. Well, now we know that there was truth in advertising, even back in whenever, if he's selling roses that weren't roses for 10 cents a piece. But, you know, and Carol, I've just got to ask you, I mean, all of you here, I think, know Carol Gibbs Astley, who's a member of the Travel Oregon team, our manager for this conference, and I've just got to know if it was your ancestors that built this house and you that put up this particular script so that we could have over there near Gibbs Point be part of our evening event. And I do love the quote about Siletz Bay that came from Mamie Allinger. She's beautiful but dangerous. So watch out. Sounds like your prom date, Ryan. You know? Anyway, several organizations actually combine forces to literally bring, as you saw here on the stage tonight, the past to life in Lincoln City with an event that they refer to as a tour to die for. The Lincoln City Visitor and Convention Bureau acted as the incubator for this event, providing seed money and marketing support. The VCB developed the logo, the professional graphics, the mini site, public relations campaign, and the advertising creative. The North Lincoln County Historical Museum was responsible for all the historical research, the draft narratives for the cemetery residents, the coordination of partner resources, the collection and disbursement of ticket revenue, and an alternative revenue or alternative venue in case inclement weather was present. The Taft Pioneer Cemetery, that oceanfront hilltop resting place for many of Lincoln City's pioneers, and where you can find that tombstone that reads, "A View to Die For," sets the scene for the event. Theater West, Lincoln City's local theater, provided the script writing, the historic interpretation, the actor training, the actors' costumes, the props, the interpretive tour guides, and the volunteer support. In character, then, the actors stationed themselves throughout Pioneer Cemetery during 2 weekends leading up to Halloween. The tour begins at the Lincoln City Cultural Center with cookies and hot chocolate, so you've got a little warm, fuzzy feeling before you head out to the cemetery. Along the way, you hear Native American stories, including the legend of Devil's Lake. Visitors are on board a bus that is provided by Chinook Wind's Casino Resort for their trip out to Pioneer Cemetery. And then as the sun goes down, visitors go on a lantern-lit walk through the cemetery where they meet 6 different pioneers, 3 men, 3 women, who at their gravesites recount their life through thrilling and entertaining memoirs. But most importantly, they teach history in an interesting and a compelling way. To honor the efforts and the impact that this group has had on Lincoln City, I am pleased to announce that the Oregon Heritage Tourism Award goes to several organizations that together have successfully produced a tour to die for. Accepting the award on behalf of the event are, hold your applause please, Ed Drystat and Scott Humpert from the Lincoln City Visitor and Convention Bureau, Cheryl Smith from the Taft Pioneer Cemetery Association, Lewis Smith, Terry King, and Patty Cybers from Theater West, Ann Hall from the North Lincoln County Historical Museum, and Bill John from Chinook Wind's Casino Resort. Please join me in congratulating them on receiving the Oregon Heritage Tourism Award.